Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is match preview show time as I look forward to this weekend's fixture as Neil Harris's Gillingham take on Johnny Jackson's AFC Wimbledon in Kent. And I'm pleased to say that I am joined tonight by someone who lives in Kent, very close to myself, small world, and that is Wimbledon fan Ray Armfield. You can find him on Twitter at Kent Womble. He is not only a Wimbledon fan, but he is also a Matchday programme contributor, and he does the stadium tour guides at Plough Lane as well. So go and follow Ray if you want to find out anything and everything about the Dons. Ray, first of all, appreciate you coming out, taking time out your evening, to come and join me for a little chat as we look forward to Saturday's game, which should be a good game.
Hope so. Yeah, hope so. Thanks for asking me on.
No problem at all.
I think it might be a very different game to one we maybe thought of in November, December, with the business that you've done since then. So I'm guessing you're quite upbeat at the moment where you are.
Very upbeat, to be fair, yeah, which is weird considering, and I've said this, we're not out of trouble. I think we'll be absolutely fine. I've said that for a couple of weeks, but until you're sort of 10, 11, 12 points clear, you don't want to count your chickens, so to speak, and all that. But yeah, the turnaround's been staggering since the takeover. Talking of turnarounds, let's look at recent form. We always do last half a dozen. We'll start with the Gills, and it does make very good reading at the moment. It's 13 points from the last 18 available for Gillingham. So that's 4 wins, 1 solitary draw, and 1 lone defeat in the last 6. Wimbledon, by no means disgraceful as well, but just a little bit of an issue in terms of getting games over the line. I think it's 4 draws, 1 win, and again, only 1 defeat. So it's 7 points from the last 18 in League 2 for Johnny Jackson's men. And if we break that down a little bit further, Ray, Gills at home, it was 3 defeats, preceded by 3 wins for the takeover, 9 points from 18. Again, Wimbledon not awful on their travels, but it's just having issues turning draws into wins. There's a single win, pair of defeats, and 3 draws, so it's 6 points from 18. So it's, in terms of the home and away form recently, it's not too dissimilar. Generally, games at our place over recent years have been fairly tight. You've become somewhat of a bogey side, I think, when you come to Kent. Just noticed in that run of games that there's clearly an issue, and it's something that we experienced first half of the season, which was well documented all over social media, is you've only scored 3 times in your last half a dozen, but to flip it, you've only conceded 3 times as well. So what can we expect, and what do you think Johnny Jackson needs to do to maybe just get the balance a little bit better in terms of scoring enough goals to back up, essentially what's been a decent defensive platform?
I think we're quite a weird one in the current form table, because prior to Saturday's 2-2 draw with Hartlepool, we'd played 6, won 1, drawn 4 and lost 1, but scored once and let in one goal. Yeah. So it's bizarre, really. 4 goalless draws and a 1-0 either way. But to be fair, some of those had been against like top 6, top 3 sides.
Yeah, so I think you're only defeating that time was to Leighton Orient, and they're 13 points clear now. They've had a blip and they've turned it around. So that's by no means a disgraceful result.
I would maybe say, prior to Saturday's game, when we let two goals in, we were quite sound defensively, which hasn't always been the case for us the last few years. But we were undone terribly by 2 set pieces Saturday, and particularly the last one, where 2 big lumbering 6-foot centre halves let a 5'6" guy get a free header with 30 seconds to go. That kind of hurt us a bit, and it probably might give you some memories of your game in last season at Plough Lane, where you sort of pinched a late goal as well.
Didn't we just? Yeah, that was like, I felt like I needed to buy a round of drinks for a lot of Wimbledon. We were down to 10 men. We were absolutely awful, and that goal was. It took an age to go in as well, if I remember rightly. I think it hit Paul Callan-By on sort of the inside of the leg, and it bounced into the turf, and then took what felt like forever to drop into the net. Yeah, we certainly got away with one that night, but ultimately it didn't actually mean anything come the end of the season.
Yes, I think sort of prior to Saturday we were quite sound, but I'm hoping we'll have learnt a big, massive lesson off that, and we'll tighten up. I was kind of worried, first of all, when that run of games started, because we brought a couple of older players back in the side, and earlier in the season when these 2 guys came in, Lee Brown and Alex Pearce, we did take it very, very slowly at the back, and pace could undo us really. But they both come in, and in the case of Brown, he's kept a very good prospect in Jack Curry out of the side, and they've really been our star players at the back. So
yeah, I don't think
kind of
out and
hoping that
out
sort
pace
of
would be
carries
something
on.
I don't think out and out pace would be something you'll come up against with us. We tend to play. Neil Harris has been quite good because he's played what looks like you can set us up as a diamond, or it can be a 4-4-2, depending whether we're with or without the ball. So then the two sides of the diamond tend to spring wider when we're in possession to create space for others to run into. But yeah, I don't think we'll be coming up against anyone who's lightning quick. The players that we do have that are the quicker ones in the squad. Jordan Green's out of favour, has been told he won't play again. Agiba Delacuna, we got on loan from Lincoln's, not been in the squad for the last 3 or 4 weeks since the shuffle in terms of all the transfer recruits in January. Mm-hmm. So I think it's interesting what you say about set pieces, though. Mel, I sort of lit up on that, and I'd imagine Ollie Hawkins might be thinking, "Oh, hello," because he's got 2 in his last 2, and he is a big lump. And
yeah,
we've also got Tim Dieng, who's good at arriving late in the box. He's already scored for us since arriving from Exeter City. Connor Masterson, Maxima will be threats from set pieces, I'd imagine, as well. So it'd be interesting to see how both sides approach it. Just one quick thing I want to announce before we look at Wimbledon in more details, and this is for the Gills fans, so I do apologise, Ray. Obviously, it's been announced today that Oliver Lee, unfortunately, has had to retire from the professional game, aged just 31. We know there's been ongoing issues with Ollie throughout the season. Neil Harris was kind of very clever in the way he worded it, saying it was a medical issue, and it seems to be that it's a combination of 2 things, and I'm no doctor, but I'm going to try and pronounce these correctly. I think it's a silent P, so I'm going to go with psoriatic arthritis and Raynaud's condition. Essentially, you hear the word arthritis. As a professional sportsman, it's never good. And Ollie's released a statement that's come out via the club today and said that despite various medications and treatments over the last sort of year or so, it's just got to the point where he cannot continue to play, which is a real shame, because for me, Ollie Lee, League One, League Two, has been one of the best around for a few years when fully fit. So we wish Ollie Lee all the best in his future endeavours. I know he's got his coaching school set up, and I did send him a quick message on Instagram, and he did reply this afternoon. So it's got plenty to be getting on with, I'd imagine. But obviously, you can't ever replace that buzz of Saturday 3 p.m. and Tuesday or Wednesday 7:45. So all the best to Ollie Lee. Back to Wimbledon though, Ryan. I appreciate you just letting me put that bit in there.
No.
It's an interesting one. You've said defensively you've been sound on the whole, aside from last Saturday, but maybe to get to that position defensively, you've negated a little bit of the attacking threat and the creativity, which has led you not scoring enough goals in recent weeks. But you are only 7 points off the playoffs with a game in hand on some of them teams that are currently in them top 7 spaces. Just had a quick look at your January transfer window. Picked out 2 or 3 names that I thought could be very good signings. Obviously, it's not always instant. We've been lucky in the sense that it has been with quite a few of ours. But then the bar was very low to start with during the first half of the campaign. But names I've picked out for Wimbledon: Ali Al-Hamadi's come in from Wickham, scored his first goal in that weekend draw with Hartlepool, as did Dialanga Jayasimi. I think I've got that right, on loan from Charlton. I think we was rumoured to be having a look at him as well. So I don't know how much interest there was as well. He also scored in that game. And Aaron Peer is a player that we were definitely in for back in the summer, and he decided to go to Sutton, but it didn't really work out. But certainly the type of centre half you need in League Two, I think, isn't he? Right, big, heads the ball, kicks everything, wins most things. So I picked out them 3. Is there any other names that you bought in January? Because I think it was us, Colchester, and yourselves that everyone generally said had probably had the 3 best windows in terms of business.
I'd maybe pick out 3 others actually.
Okay.
One we've not maybe seen the sort of most or best of yet is a loanee from Leicester called Casey McAteer. He's just had a couple of cameo roles so
played
far,
against us in the cup,
but looks very good. Like to see more of him. We've got a wide player called Sam Pearson from Bristol City. He looks very useful. Bit of a throwback to an old school winger, sort of socks around his ankles. Worries me a bit as somebody who had their leg cut open at school once. And also a guy called Armani Little, who we've got from Forest Green Rovers. There's sort of talk of him hopefully staying with us, but he's done a few roles in midfield so far and has looked very good in doing whatever we ask of him. So of all of them, I think he's maybe my pick and one to look out for. But you mentioned about goals from midfield. If you'd maybe said to me at the start of the season, Coming into this game, yes, we've lost Ayuba Sal, but the next top scorer would be Ethan Chislett, a guy who plays in midfield.
Who scored a very good goal opening day, I think, against us, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He's a bit of a free kick expert, and like your guy, ghosts in quite late. If you're my age, you might say Martin Peters, which was the sort of thing that he used to do. But yeah, we seem to have almost an embarrassment of riches in the middle. But you guys, and I think most of the 2 lower leagues, find out it's the business end in the forward line where players cost the money, and they're the ones that do the business for you. So we've got 2 permanent players now, Al Hamadi and Josh Davison. So I wouldn't say we're stuck with them, but hopefully those can't be taken away from us.
Sure.
But they need time to gel, like most January signings do.
That's it, of course. Yeah, it's the managers come out and say every year, don't they? It's notorious. It's a horrible window to try and do business in. But I think with Gills, it just got to the point where we had to roll the dice, and thankfully, with the additional funds that the takeover brought, it was allowed us to go and get players that we wouldn't have dreamed of even being interested in prior to that. A couple of names you just mentioned, very interesting. You mentioned Casey McAteer, played against us start of January for Leicester, live on the telly in the FA Cup game. Played left wing back, I think. Looks a very bright prospect, very direct, quick enough, 2 good feet. Obviously, loads to learn. That's why they go out on loan to lower league clubs like ourselves. Armani Little's another one that's just sort of raised eyebrows as well. Was he a Torquay up until the summer?
Yes, he was. Yeah. I think
I had him down as a potential target for us. I do like a potential targets video every summer to see who's about. And the one I wanted to ask you about, I think, might have returned to his parent club now. Is that Kyle Hoodlin? Has he gone back to Huddersfield, or is he still on your?
He has. No, he's gone back. I mean, we took 4 loanees at the start of the season, thinking they'd all be season-long loans, and they've all gone. One's been returned and is sold. One's just gone back to his parent club. One's gone up to a higher league.
One we're not going to mention, are we?
One we're not going to mention, no.
No, we won't mention where he's gone.
We won't mention him, no. But they were odd ones, because it's not just us, but it seems to be a thing that's creeping into football now, where season-long loans don't always mean what they say. I don't know if that's the case with you guys, but I mean, we sort of almost had those 4 as bankers, if you like, and they've all gone. So we've had to sort of base our transfer window around that, and maybe doing a bit more business than we thought that we need to do.
So was Hoodlin recalled, or was that Wimbledon's decision?
No, he was recalled. We sort of thought things might go a bit windy when he wasn't allowed to play in a FA Cup game, and we wondered why, because he was nowhere, or we thought he'd be nowhere near Huddersfield's first team, and they took him back, and he's sort of disappeared now.
I was to say, because I'm not seeing him in and around their squad. I know they just changed their manager. I know Neil Warnock's just gone back in there. But yeah, for me, I remember watching games, National League playoffs, that type of thing, end of last season, because there was, I think, Solihull, to be fair, did have 2 or 3 that were potentially going to move into the league. There was him. I think there was Joe Shabara as well, and a couple of others. Dallas, I think, might be one as well.
Yes.
Andrew Dallas, is that correct?
I think we looked at both of them as well, but nothing's happened. So.
Yeah, so it is tough. I know what you mean. We had it last season with Jamie Cumming, got recalled by Chelsea, and then he went straight up the road to that place that we're not allowed to talk about Paris Magoma as well. But they're struggling now, and I'm sure you'll raise a bright smile. Yeah. But no, I remember Paris Magoma, I thought, was very good opening day of the season. I thought absolutely ran the show, middle of the park, leggy, rangy, got about the pitch really well. So that's a real shame. And he comes from a very good footballing family as well, doesn't he? I mean, we had his brother Christian, I think, for a spell. It didn't work out, but he's doing well at Eastleigh, and I think it's Jax Magoma played up in the Championship. So a very good footballing family. But that's the nature of the beast, unfortunately, isn't it? When you're lower league clubs, that you get, picked off by those higher up the food chain. But yeah, certainly some good business in there. We all know about Gills' business that was done. I think it was quite well documented on social media, and it's great to see a lot of them have hit the ground running. The likes of Tom Nichols, Ollie Hawkins are scoring goals. Jules Lapsley's now scored 2 in 2, and we just look a completely different club. And like I say, we needed it because we were only heading one way prior to Christmas before the takeover, and that was the National League. Aims for the rest of the season, though, as a Wimbledon fan, Ray, what do you think in terms of the playoffs? Is it still attainable, or is it just a little bit out of reach now? Not because you haven't got a good squad and you've not got a good manager in Johnny Jackson, who I think is very, very highly rated and has done well. He's had to take a step down after Charlton to maybe just rebuild a little bit, but he's done a very good job. Or is it more now consolidation around mid-table and then plan for next season?
I think if you'd have asked me prior to Christmas how we'd go, I would say maybe it would depend if we'd have kept Ayub Assal or not. But he got a life-changing offer to play in Qatar, so he had to go really. And he's been a bit of a lightning rod for us in the first half of the season because everything seemed to happen through him. So we've had to slightly tweak how we play as well. But going into the Christmas games, there was a big pack of clubs that were maybe looking at 6th or 7th spot, of which we were one. And I think the nearest we got was like 2 to 3 points off it once or twice. But I think Saturday was a bit of a game changer for us because it was one of those games that you really had to win to sort of stay in that chasing pack, and we didn't. So I maybe look at a top 10 finish as an attainable target now. But just sort of thinking back, we've had, well, this is our 12th season as a Football League club, second time around, and for 11 and a half of those, whatever league that we've been in, we've been looking down really. So it's almost a pleasant change not to have to do that. Other than that a one little 5-month period where we made the League Two playoffs and went up, it's all been looking down apart from that. And there's a few of us who still carry the scars. And even I, Saturday afternoon, 16 points clear of the bottom two, I'm still looking down to see how the bottom 2, 3 or 4 got on, just in case.
Yeah, but, of course, it does become a bit of a habit, doesn't it? Either way, whether that's winning or losing. And I think it's always a bit of a running joke in League One for a few seasons. Oh, Wimbledon have only got 8 games left, but I'm sure they're going to win 10 of them and get out of trouble. It was that type of thing. It didn't matter how far adrift you was, you always seemed to just manage to escape trouble. Excuse me. Obviously, Saturday is the most immediate thing. We've got an overview of Wimbledon, and that's great and appreciate that. Just had a look at your last sort of 3, 4, 5 games. You generally set up as a back four under Johnny Jackson. It looks like in recent matches, whether that's a 4-4-2, but predominantly a 4-2-3-1, it looks like. What are you expecting in terms of Saturday afternoon? Because neither side's had a midweek game this week. So unless there's injuries on the training pitch, everyone should, touch wood, fingers crossed, be available that was available in the previous game. Are you expecting Jackson to make many changes because of the late collapse, or do you think he'll trust the players to go out there and put it right?
I think he's got a few options now, and our bench certainly looks stronger at this point than maybe it has for the past few months of the season, where we maybe had a few players there that are just make weights that would never come on, but now he's got 6 genuine options.
I'm just looking at your bench and Hartlepool, like you say. There's some good names on there. Aaron Pierre got half an hour. Casey McAteer, you said, to come in. He got the last 10 minutes. Harry Pell, who had a decent start to the season. Sam Pearson, you mentioned, came on for another lone star. So it looks like you're obviously going the right way. But as you mentioned, it always takes a bit of time, generally, doesn't it, for the new players to bed in?
Yeah, we'll certainly start with a back four, and at the start of the season we did try and play 3-5-2, and the 3 at the back, again, I'm going back to pace, they weren't really quick enough to sort of play that, but we look much happier with the back 4. Usually it's 4-4-1-1 after that, because we only ever seem to play Josh Davison up front in attack. He's not really a target man in my eyes. He's not 6'4" or anything, and bless him, he runs his socks off, and nobody works harder in League Two, but I think he does really need somebody alongside him. So it was quite good to see Al Hamady pushed up with him on Saturday, and we scored twice. So I'm hoping that bell will sort of ring again, as if to say that that's the way to get a result. But it's the midfield 4 again. He's got such a lot of options there to sort of choose from. It wouldn't shock me if he sort of mixes them up, and I think maybe he might bring Harry Pell back in as well. But you could really perm sort of 4 from any 7 or 8. So even I couldn't guess where he's going to go with that.
Which is what you want, isn't it? It's the correct type of headache, so to speak. You don't want to just players that are coasting along because there's no competition, or they're just all equally as bad as each other, which was the case with us for the first 6 months of the campaign. Unfortunately, it just whatever we tried just didn't seem to work. But thankfully, it has changed, and it has changed quite drastically. In terms of the Gills, I mean, we're recording this on a Wednesday night, so there's no press conferences yet, so we're having to sort of go in a little bit blind. But I don't think Gills have got any new injury problems. Obviously, Ollie Lee, we've already mentioned, has retired, but he's not been available for a while. Ben Reeves is out for the rest of the season, as is Lewis Walker. I think Scott Caskett's back on the grass after a groin strain, but he's a couple of weeks away at the very best. I can't see Neil Harris changing it, to be honest. He's not made loads of changes in this run of, I think, 1 defeat in 7 since the new boys arrived. So comes back to the old adage, and I've said it probably every week now for about 5 weeks, is if it's not broke, don't fix it, that type of thing. So I think the goalkeeper and the back four will be the same as what it was last Saturday when we went to Rochdale and won. So that'd be Glenn Morris in goal, Shay Alexander, Maxime, Connor Masterson and Robbie McKenzie. I've gone unchanged. I can't see it. But then again, we're in a similar position to you now where we can afford to leave a Tom Nichols out who started like, a house on fire when he arrived. He's got 3 goals and 3 assists in 7 matches. So, and then you're suddenly in a position to leave him on the bench. You think, well, this is a bit different compared to the start of the season where your centre-back's top scorer in the league after 23 games. So, yeah, unchanged for me, unless there's any, hidden concerns that we don't know about yet that might come out in the press conference on Thursday. One more question, Ray, before I let you go and enjoy your evening. And that's the dreaded score prediction. I've written mine down, so I'll let you go first. But I'm assuming we're both going to be super positive.
Sort of. I sort of thought about a win or a draw, and I'm going to go with 1-1. I think we might find the net again, but I think again you're a bit more potent now than you were when we met the start of the season. So I'd probably take a draw at the moment, and then we've got a couple of winnable home games coming up where we'd look to take maximum points. So a draw would do me, but obviously win would be lovely.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I think I'm pretty much in the same boat. I think the head's saying 1-1, and that's because of, like I've already mentioned, you've become something of a bit of a bogey side at Priestfield in the last few years. I mean, even when we won the League 2 title 10 years ago, you still didn't let us beat you that day, and it ended up 2-2. But I think that was because I think it kept you up as well. So it was almost the perfect day. In that sense, you stayed up, we won the league, and Danny Kedwell scored as well, who's obviously a hero at Wimbledon as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, head saying 1 each. But heart saying 2-1 to Gillingham. Right. But it'll be a complaint. I think it'll be a really good game. I think it'll be a really close game. I think you get 2 sides that are really honest, hard-working. Even if the quality's not always great, they'll both be having a proper go. And just hope that it's a more competitive fixture than what we saw start of the season. I know we came back to your place a few days after and won in the League Cup, but they're all a bit of a muchness early in the season. People are making lots of changes, still getting used to transfer signings from the summer and that type of thing. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Are you? I assume you're going, as you're very, very local for this one.
I am going. Yes, in the Gordon Road stand for the first time. So yeah.
Oh yeah, you get the far corner. Have you been given any in the Brian Moore stand as well, or?
I think we have just the lower tier, which I think is all that's open now.
Yeah, I think that is. Yeah, because I know they had to
got some blocks in the Gordon Road stand.
They managed to get the lower tier sorted out for the Leicester game, and it's been used a few times. It was even used by Gillingham fans a couple of weeks ago against Crawley. First time in years that the bottom tier was full up, which was great to see. Do you know how many you've sold, or?
I don't know, but I would imagine somewhere around about 700 or 800.
I should imagine it'd be a good
travel reasonably well.
It's an hour and a quarter drive, isn't it, for everyone that lives in Wimbledon as well? So, as all the makings, Gills fans, of a really good atmosphere Saturday. I know the club have tweeted and said that the Rainamen's pretty much sold out as well. So, if Wimbledon are bringing 700-800, we'll have a loud Rainamen. You'd imagine Gordon Road and the Medway stand will be fairly full as well. So, as all the ingredients for a good afternoon. Thanks again to Ray for coming on at short notice to join me tonight for this preview show. It is really appreciated. Like I say, I'll put his Twitter handle in the description at the bottom of the video. If you're still watching at this stage, thank you very much as always. We are about 16 away from 2,400 subscribers, so thank you for the ongoing support. Comment down below whether you're a Gills fan or a Wimbledon fan. Let us know what you think your team will be, what you think the score will be come 5 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. Do not forget that all these videos are now in association with Art of Football. So if you're looking for retro and vintage T-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, bucket hats, prints, go and check out their website. It's in the link in the description at the bottom of this video. As always, they do some really, really good stuff on there. Thanks again to Ray. Really appreciate your time, mate. We'll be there Saturday with Boz for a match day live. Enjoy the rest of your week. It is nearly the weekend. And up the Gills.